Hi guys, so I've got a review for you today. I'm actually reviewing Garra Rufa fish pedicures. So before we get started, I'm going to state for the record, I'm growing out my fringe. I have decided I prefer not having it, and it's now an irritating length, so I may fidget with it. I'm sorry. Okay, so Garra Rufa fish pedicures. You might have seen these in the media. I know over here they've been covered in newspapers and magazines, and I know they were in an episode of Ugly Betty, so you might know them from that. But for those of you that don't know, Garra Rufa fish are a species of fish. They're also known as doctor fish, and they will eat dead skin. They don't choose to eat dead skin, but if there's nothing else about it, they'll quite happily munch away at it. So this is now being utilised by the beauty industry to remove hard skin on your feet. It's also been known to help people with psoriasis who go into full body tanks, but I'm just covering the pedicures today. I have not tried a full body tank. I wouldn't want to, because it would creep me out too much. Anyway, so I went the other week with my friend Lindsay for her birthday, and basically I'm going to talk you through her experience. So, you go in and you sign a form. You have to sign a form saying that you don't have any health conditions or any open wounds in your feet, basically anything that might be affected badly by this, or it might be a bad idea for you to do it. If you've got any open wounds in your feet, obviously any kind of healing that's begun might be kind of undone when the fish start eating around, and that could harm your healing process, which is bad. You also have to make sure that you've not got any kind of fake tan that's been done recently, but personally my advice to you is do not go into this with fake tan on, or at any rate don't go into this with fake tan on when you're planning on showing off your tan anytime soon, because they do remove a layer of skin and you will end up with different coloured bits on your legs. Okay, so you fill that in, and the first thing to do is de-rinse your feet and clean them and make sure that there's no dirt or chemicals or just anything on your feet that would make the fish sick or anything. I think that's why they do it anyway. I didn't actually ask, but I'm assuming it's to make sure that the tanks are kept clean and the fish are kept happy and healthy. So obviously you could have like sweat on your feet, and then the next person has to put their feet in the tank, which is not nice. And you know, if you put any creams on your feet, there might be chemicals that might upset the fish. That's all bad. So they wash your feet, and then you put on some disposable flip-flops to walk across the floor to make sure you don't pick up any other dirt which would end up in the tank, and that's you. So where we were, it was nice kind of built up seats, so you kind of sat on sideways and then swung your legs around and just dangled your feet into this tank. So Garra Rufa fish vary in size. I had a tank with lots of small fish. There was a tank with bigger fish which were up to about like that length and about that thick. Apparently that tank's usually kept for men or people with actual serious skin problems that they want fixed. With hindsight, I possibly should have went for that because I have really bad hard skin on my feet, but we'll get to that later when we're talking about results. So, you stick your feet in. The water isn't cold because Garra Rufa fish have to be kept in water at minimum temperature of 34 degrees Celsius. I looked it up before I went because I didn't really fancy sticking my feet in a cold tank of water. That's just me. So you stick your feet in. I stuck one foot in before the other, so they all kind of like swarmed onto this one foot, and my other foot had like a couple of little fish like swimming about on their own, and then they all kind of clocked onto, hey, there's another one, and they evened out a little bit. So how does it feel when they're actually essentially chewing at your feet? A lot of people think it's going to be like really tickly, but I'm actually a really tickly person and I found it was okay. The best way of describing it that me and Lindsay have agreed on is that it feels like pins and needles, but not as bad because it's only on the outside of your feet and it's just not as bad anyway. So if you don't know what pins and needles is when you sit still for ages and the blood kind of stops circulating to a part of your body, and when you move it again you get that weird tingly, horrible, icky feeling. That's pins and needles. But yeah, so that, but not as bad because it's only on the outside of your skin rather than like all the way through your feet. So the only bit that I actually found kind of uncomfortably tickly was when they got onto, we're imagining this is a toe now because I'm not putting my feet on camera, like this very front bit, because this is a bit that you don't really touch or use for anything on your toe, so it seems like it's much ticklier when they get there. It was also a bit more tickly when they got into like the crease bits, the bits under your knuckles, your toe knuckles, They were quite tickly as well. The fish, well, if you've got the small fish anyway, the fish do go between your toes. I somehow got it into my head that I was going to crush this fish. Even though my toes were sitting in their normal position, I had it in my head that they were somehow going to like get closer together and crush this poor little fish, which is ridiculous. It's not going to happen. Anyway, overall it was an enjoyable experience. We went for half an hour. The fish just keep going. They chew whatever's under the water, like I said, with a fake tan. So I was in to about partway up my shin. So obviously if you had fake tan, you would then have 3/4 of your legs tanned and the rest pale. When my feet came out, they were actually whiter than normal, which is almost impossible to believe given the colour that my skin is. It can go whiter. So yeah. Oh, and the ladies were telling us that there was a man who came to this particular place and the fish actually ate the hair off his legs, so he went out with a partly baldy legs. I went to Serenity Soul in Glasgow, by the way, just in case anybody's wondering. I'm going to put their website down below in case there's any local people watching this, because it was a really good experience and I would recommend them. They were wonderful, they were so friendly, it was brilliant. Once you've your time's up basically, you remove your feet slowly from the water. You wouldn't want to do it fast because the fish can kind of be attached to your feet, and then obviously you pull them out of the water and they'll panic, or if you move your feet too sharply to the side you might actually chuck them in the tank or whatever. But if you remove your feet slowly, it means they kind of know that the surface of the water's coming and they can like fall off in time. And one of the staff was there, and like any that didn't seem to be going, she just kind of like brushed gently off my feet anyway, so that they were all fine. And then after you're out of your tank, you go and get your feet washed again, and they put nice lotion on. So, results. Overall, I would definitely go for this again. At the end of the day, they are fish. You can't really give them instructions, which brings me back to my point about me not having great skin on my feet. I couldn't really say, hey fish, this is my problem area. Do you want to focus there? They're not going to do that. They're fish. They just kind of like eat whatever. They just go around anywhere randomly. So if you've got a particular problem area, you're not going to say, oh my god, it's gone in one session, because they're not going to focus on that. So I think I would need a few sessions for my feet to look kind of not horrible. But overall my skin was so much softer, and because this is kind of like a gentle way of removing hard skin, sometimes if you remove hard skin like too fast, or like if you try cutting it off, which apparently some people do, it can actually produce more hard skin because it's like a protective layer that your body's trying to put in place. So yeah, overall I'd recommend it. It was a great experience, great thing to do with a friend because it was fun and it was new. But yeah, hopefully I will be putting some footage here of the fish at my feet, because YouTube sometimes doesn't like me editing videos, which is why my videos are always all the way through live. But I will try, so hopefully you'll be watching that footage now. If you get any questions, leave comments. Bye guys.